Good morning. It is early and it is chilly, and we camped at a not so glamorous campsite, but this is another one that is all about the location and a safe place that we will be able to leave our van for the day, because today we're taking you to the city of Venice. Now, we're across the way, and our morning will start with a boat taxi ride from about 2 football fields that way where our campsite is. Now, there are no cars once you cross that bridge, and Venice is right over there under the sun. But I gotta tell y'all, this been a lifelong, well, maybe not lifelong, but I know for sure this is a city I've wanted to visit since high school times, so it seems like a lifetime. But let's go. So we'll take a boat taxi instead of taking a train or a bus, because the campsite we're at is just about the only campsite there is for van life type people to be close to Venice, and it's super close to this boat taxi. So this will be a round trip ticket we bought for the day. They run every hour. Cost us 10 euros a piece. So 20 euros to get us from the campsite to the city of Venice. Oh, I don't think I could tell y'all how excited I am.
All right, it was a little bouncy ride in the cab. We were kind of down in the cab of the boat, so we really didn't have any visibility to film. Probably about a 10-minute little boat ride, and we have arrived out here on the island. And from what I am understanding is there are multiple islands out here. I just kind of thought you came out to Venice and it was one. So we're gonna kind of figure this out as we go. See you guys later. It's nice to meet you.
Right here?
Yes. Our first little turn off of the boat dock there is down a little narrow road. The structures here all seem to be made of brick. And from what I understand is this entire city is built on wood pilings. And so we are kind of on one huge boat dock, so to speak. But we have several adventures in mind today. Snow does a much better job of kind of investigating the things to do and where to go. I kind of wing it. And so anyway, we'll leave it up to her to tell us where we're gonna go today, guys. All right, and we have popped out to our first sort of canal amongst the islands. You can see the bridges and all the boats along the canal here. This is kind of what I pictured. Look at this snow. We came down that first little walkway and there was nobody there. It was narrow and it looked like the houses were all abandoned. Not what I had pictured, but as you get towards the canals, and you can see the water just splashes right up to the doors and almost into the doors of some of these houses. And as we walk down the streets, after you walk for a while, like a city block or whatever, we come to our second canal, and they have these bridges and stairs, and it looks like today is cleaning day in the city. And so whenever the trash collectors or the delivery people, or even if you're bringing suitcases out here to stay for the weekend, you've got to cross all these bridges and these stairs. But it's pretty fascinating with all the canals. And we have arrived on the more proper street instead of like a narrow walking alleyway. And look at all the delicious pastries and pizzas here. Looks pretty tasty. But this looks like a district where they do lots of shopping here.
One thing we've decided to do today is buy a one-day pass for the boat taxis. Now you can walk all over this island, but we want to see as much as we can in the one day that we have here. So we're almost to the boat taxi stand where we hope we can buy a ticket. We don't know. All right.
2 tickets to paradise. So this is what's called the Grand Canal, and it kind of splits Venice like an S. Comes right through, and you can see it's a fairly wide and definitely a very active canal. And there are all sorts of boats, not just gondolas, but all sorts of boats carrying packages, supplies for the restaurants, all that type of stuff. I think I saw one that looked like it was a postal delivery van, boat. But in any event, all kinds of boat traffic on this Grand Canal. All right, we made it on the first water taxi, and we really got to crack the code to the little taxi map here. We haven't gotten it figured out, but as busy as this canal is, the gondolas are cruising across. Oh, I think these are the little gondolas where you can take a couple bucks and they go right across there. But the gondolas are rocking and rolling in all this boat traffic. But in this particular instance, we're only going one stop, so a little short stop. But this is actually a pretty big island, so it'll take us a while to see a lot of it. So the journey is just beginning.
One thing you're going to see all over Venice at the tourist shops, and then there's some real where they make handcrafted one-of-a-kind ones, but you're going to see these masks. And of course that comes from Carnival, but there is also other stories to the masks here. Back during shadier times, if you were going out to do something, some illicit activity that you shouldn't do, you would wear a mask, and that would be maybe for the prostitutes or drugs or going to a bar if you're married or whatever. And then also when the Black Plague would come through here, the doctors had a very specific mask that they wore, and it was the one, I'll describe it, we're also going to show it of course, that had the creepy looking face and the long bird looking nose. And what that did is that protected them from the plague, and it also kept them a little bit of distance away from getting too close to a patient. Their mask's nose would bump into them. Now, I don't remember the exact year, but so many people started wearing masks around the city to do these illicit activities that a council of 10 that governed the area at the time made it illegal to wear masks in Venice except during Carnival. But we'll see these throughout the day, I'm sure. So I wanted to make sure I told you the story. So we are headed to the Rialto Market. Now, we came here first because the past few cities we've waited too late and missed the market because it closed. Hopefully that doesn't happen today. What is incredibly special about this market is that for hundreds of years, it was one of the most important markets in all of Europe and Asia. It was a main part of the Silk Road trade route, and it connected Asia to Europe through here. Now that made Venice be one of the most powerful and wealthy cities in the world at the time. And it used to be a city under Venetian rule. It was its own kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, for more than 1,000 years until the 1800s when Napoleon finally conquered it.
One of my favorite things to do whenever we get into a country or a city or a region is to go straight to the markets. I feel like they just tell you so much about the area or the region. And of course, you're always looking for some kind of unique foods or fruits or vegetables or meats. And there are several here, but they have, man, so many colorful fruits and vegetables. And I can tell you in the morning, it's very active, at least right now. And you can tell the locals here coming down to pick up all their groceries. I don't know if this one's open every day, but they do have a variety of fresh greens, potatoes, fruits and vegetables and berries. And I don't know what these purple things are. Almost like some kind of rhubarb, eggplant, I don't know. celery. They have purple cauliflower. So as I said, colorful different vegetables. I've seen that. Here's kind of a strange looking cabbage. It's shaped like a cone head instead of a round one.
Vai a casa, cancaro!
So I found the seafood section, and Curt loves fish. I like shrimp, crab, lobster. Not a big fish fan. But another reason we don't cook fish and seafood in the van is the smell. It will, hello! It will take over a small space like that. But I have a feeling there's a good chance Curt might eat him some seafood today. He's here, he found it.
And of course, we're out on an island, out in the sea, and so you'd expect there to be seafood and fresh seafood, and there is definitely some of that here. Now, a lot of this is already filleted and cleaned, and so I don't know all these, I haven't seen all these different kinds of fish. But they also have some shrimps, it looks like kind of some trouts, all kinds of stuff. And look at the scallops and squid. Oh, look at over here. Look at that. Little clams, big octopus, little octopus, kind of inky squid. These are some kind of conch or something like that, I believe. Little dried shrimps, all sorts of mussels and clams. So the seafood section here definitely does not disappoint. And of course they have a section with fresh cut flowers. Oh, and there's definitely more seafood over here. So there's about 3 tables or 4 tables with seafood. So it's definitely not, look at the seagull coming in. The seagulls are coming in trying to feast, and they're even fighting for it. So again, some mussels, some cherry clams, some whitefish. That red fish there is likely a tuna, and here is probably another tuna or swordfish. The pink stuff there is salmon, some kind of, I don't know, big shrimp, scallop shrimp, other like kind of chubby fish, more octopus, calamari, shrimp or Cameroon. And look at these little, I call them smelt, maybe they're anchovies, not sure exactly what the name of them is, but 3 booths with really fresh, nice looking seafood, plenty of abundance. I don't know what those kind of fish are, real white, almost like a mudfish. I'm hungry. Look at these big crabs and eels. What a fun little market. It wasn't huge, but it was fun. And now it is chilly out here, guys. It was 37 degrees when we left this morning, which for those of you who want to know in Celsius, that's about 2 degrees Celsius. And so it's chilly, and also we're on the water, so it's windy and cold as well. So we're gonna try to sneak off, find a coffee and maybe a little sweet treat and warm up a little bit. It's just really a stunning place, really absolutely captivating. And as you come, you just see things, and you know, in my mind I'm like, what is this? And it looks like it's made with some form of granite, but again, it's just worn with a lid, and I would think that's some sort of well or something like that, where they could just drop a bucket in there with a little pulley. I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll Google search it. Maybe you guys can tell us. Just a couple blocks from the market, the city's opened up a little bit. There are so many narrow streets. It seems kind of unusual when all of a sudden you pop open into a bigger open area. But up in front of us, I can see some bigger towers and some stairs.
We're headed to one of the major landmarks. Right in front of us is one of the 4 bridges that crosses the Grand Canal. This is the Rialto Bridge, the most famous. So we're working our way there.
So this is our first bridge crossing over across the Grand Canal. And you can see all the little gondolas there. Now I think you can I think for $2 you can actually just cross in one of those gondolas, or you can rent them and they'll take you for a ride around through the little canals. I think it's about 80 euros for 30 minutes on one of those. But you can see all the buildings along the Grand Canal, and it is starting to get active. We were here early and it wasn't so busy, but it's definitely picking up now. You can see people pouring off the taxis and people starting to hop on these gondolas. And yeah, what a beautiful place.
Now, the Rialto Bridge is definitely a landmark, and you see a lot of tours and a lot more people here. But the story, the history behind it is that back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, I'm sorry I can't remember all the dates, but during the trade boom, maybe the 13th, 14th century, all of the gold and jewelry dealers set up on this bridge. And still today they run shops here, and a lot of them are jewelry stores. So kind of keeping with tradition. So it's crowded, but it's something you have to come see when you're in Venice.
Look guys, the city is sinking. You can see the water is just coming up over the sidewalks.
So, Venice is a sinking city. I think Curt's already told you a lot of it was built on, they drove special timber down in the ground, special timber that reacts well with water and lasts forever, but it's sinking. And when it was built over 1,000 years ago, it was because people that lived on the mainland were running from the Mongols and the German people, whoever lived in the Germany area at the time, were attacking. So they moved onto the wetland and marsh areas and built this land. But I think if I remember right from what I read, it's sinking like 2 millimeters a year for the past however long they've been monitoring it. We were grabbing our table to have our coffee and croissant, and we had to scoot in a little bit because the water's splashing up.
All right, Snow got her standard coffee con leche, coffee with a little milk. I got a coffee with panna, which is cream, and they put a lot more cream on there and a lot less coffee than I anticipated. It also came with a couple biscuits. I think these are lemon, I'm not sure what that is. And then we got a croissant. I believe this has got cream and chocolate. So we got a lot.
Sugary breakfast.
Sugary, creamy breakfast.
So we're about to hop on the water taxi again. This time we're getting on taxi number 2. We're at the Rialto station, but we're going to take it all the way to the other end, and that's going to be an economical way to see the entire Grand Canal.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99. What I thought was gone was sitting in my pocket in plain sight all along. I think it's time for me to go, burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way, fell between the foam, pulling stitches. Time to let go, so come what may.
So we just had an amazing ride on the water taxi down the Grand Canal. And here in front of one of the main plazas or piazzas here in Venice, you can see yet more evidence of the sinking island as the water is just standing here on the sidewalk. But look at this gorgeous basilica here.
So this is the Basilica San Marco, and it is a famous destination, a beautiful church without a doubt. but you have to reserve your spots to go inside and pay a hefty fee. We went back and forth on whether or not we were going to do it, and we have decided to just appreciate this beautiful basilica from outside. It's got some of the prettiest artwork painted on the domes, the half domes on the outside, doesn't it, Curt?
It really does. It is stunning, and some of the sculptures and the intricate detail around the tops and around just the whole entire church. And you can see it's clearly different kinds of marble and different kinds of stone that we've really seen throughout Italy. I mean, clearly they know how to do stonework here. But this entire plaza is amazing, and I keep sounding like a stuck record, but the fact that this is all built up artificially over water, it just stuns me.
Yeah, now the castle next door, or the palace next door to this basilica, is famous for being made with its pink marble, Curt.
Oh, really?
See the pink checkers?
I do see the pink checkers.
So one thing I read about little hidden spots is one I really don't want to walk over to. So we're going to show it to you from here. But between those two pillars right there on the corner of the castle, the government building, is where they used to announce death sentences. And the executions took place here. All right, right behind me is a clock tower. And this is not just any clock tower. This one is one of the most famous in the world because of how intricate it is. The first thing that is really cool about it is that it actually tells time 3 different ways. We have the traditional clock, and then you have the Roman numerals underneath. Now they go in increments of 5, so it changes every 5 minutes. And it also has an astronomical clock that includes the phases of the moon. So it's pretty phenomenal that all of this was built back in the 1490s by a father-son clock duo. And it's specifically lined up with the opening here to the port where all of the silk trade ships used to come in and out, which is behind us here, because they could come in, they'd know what time it was, they'd know the moon phases. It was designed to tell time for the city people and for the ships. Pretty cool. Also, the men on top, they're made out of bronze, they're hinged at the waist, and when the bell rings, they actually spin and have hammers that hit the bell. That's the timer of the clock. It's also set to go off 2 minutes before the actual hour, so it does not interfere and run over the church bell, which is sitting right next to us. Well, pretty cool clock. So we are leaving the San Marco Square area, headed to our next destination. And look what we spotted. Now, it may not be the legendary light blue and white of Argentina, but it sure enough says Messi number 10, doesn't it, Curt?
Yeah, it's cool.
A little.
Vamos Argentina, vamos Messi.
So one of the things you're supposed to do in Venice, Curt, is eat gelato. It's too cold.
It's too cold. I even changed hats and put my gloves on.
It's too cold.
The angel of St. George, he wanted to take a picture. The exhibition wasn't over. No, it was much more of a fixture. I never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end. We saw the city from the water at the dying of the day. But when you learned you were a daughter and you didn't have to pay, I never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end. I see the light return to your eyes in the city that rides upon the water. got a vision of St. Mark with the tourists in a line. The benediction that he spoke, may you live in interesting times. I never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end. When we lost ourselves in Venice, I think you found yourself. So don't you ever let me catch you putting yourself back on the shelf. I never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end.
We have made it to a very unique bookstore. So not only are there books everywhere, somewhere throughout here, cats live throughout the bookstore, so we'll be looking for them. But one little trick when you come to Venice, if you decide not to pay $100 to take a ride in a gondola, which to be honest, we're starting to think that's what we're gonna do, just seems a little overpriced. But you can come to this bookstore, look for the kitty cats, and step out onto the back porch and get a picture in a real gondola. Have you spotted a kitty cat yet? No. I haven't either, but they have a lot of places to hide. We might not spot one. A staircase made out of books. It's a little weeble wobbly. So the bookstore used to be known as a hidden spot to go here in Venice, but the secret is obviously out. That place was crowded. All right, we had to sit down and do a little logistical planning. We got off of our water taxi. We've got a 9-minute walk to an area where we've heard we can have a budget-friendly meal of the Venetian style of tapas. Try many different kinds of local treats. So we'll see if we can find it. I can't remember what they call it. They're not called tapas here. I will find out when we get there. But let's go see what we can find.
All right, they have sort of a menu del Dio, and I'm getting the menu de pesca. So I get a 4-course dinner, and I get to choose from several things. So I'm getting spaghetti with seafood, or I can get the cuttlefish ink spaghetti, but it's a little scary for me. I'm getting roasted octopus. We saw that in the market. And then I think the baked potatoes and tiramisu. All right, Snow, what'd you go with?
So my first course, I went with the vegetarian menu, which means I only had 3 choices. But I started with a salad with artichoke and avocado, and it's gonna be so good.
And look at the seafood spaghetti. So Snow's is a 3-course meal, mine's a 4-course meal. Seafood pasta, looks like there's some squid, some shrimp, and some mussels, they told me, and clams. So we'll see when we get into this thing.
Let's go. So our second course is here. I ordered a 4-cheese pacari. The waiter had to tell me that's how you say it, with zucchini, and it looks delicious. And I'm sorry about the bad lighting, but we wanted to sit by the window because it's so warm with the sunshine coming in. And you guys look at Curt's
Roasted octopus and roasted potatoes.
Wow. You excited?
I am excited. Look at that, tender.
This will be my first dip into some Venetian food. Let's see. So creamy and cheesy. And it's like lasagna noodles that have been rolled into a little ball. And they're good. They're a little chewy, but I think that's by design. Almost like
al dente?
Almost like a dumpling. In fact, this tastes like Italian chicken and dumpling with the creamy. Oh, it's so good. We have finished lunch, and now it is time to take a water taxi back over to where we will catch the ferry back to the van.
It's time to go. This has been a stunning place. Really fascinating, unique, different than any of the cities we've ever been to. One of my new faves. But time to go.
If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when we put out new videos. And don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram to see what's going on in between videos. Cheers, guys!